Brendan Clarke-Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And this is a short but critical bill, which is why I agree that the amendments brought to this House, whilst well intended, would once again be inappropriate for this bill and would instead require the drafting of primary legislation to make them workable legally. And to make things worse, if these amendments were to be added to this bill, then both the government and the taxpayer could be exposed to action by the owners of these buildings. And this is something that must be avoided, and therefore this bill must be watertight. And it would be quite wrong if we were having to withdraw the fire safety bill because of this. Those undertaking inspections and assessments need clarity, and the key to this is to keep the bill short. It would also be wrong to potentially delay the implementation of the judge's recommendations from the first phase of the Grenfell inquiry, which this would also cause potentially. Legal advice must be accepted and forms the basis for making good on our promises, as does the input of independent experts. Decisive action must also be taken, and the extra £3.5 billion committed by the government, bringing total funding to £5 billion, is to be welcomed. And this has culminated in a commitment to fully fund the replacement of unsafe cladding for all leaseholders in residential buildings 18 metres and higher. And whilst this is not the case for buildings between 11 and 18 metres, the new scheme will protect against unaffordable costs and limit these to £50 per month towards remediations. And this also gives reassurance to banks and mortgage lenders. The new developer levy will ensure developers also make a contribution, and Gateway 2 should raise an extra £2 billion towards this. As has been stated before, it is the Building Safety Bill which will provide a new era of accountability for managing risk with the construction of these buildings. There will be tougher sanctions for those who fail to meet their obligations, and a guarantee that it is they, not the taxpayer or leaseholders, who will remedy this. And this bill will also ensure there is more transparency concerning the costs related to maintaining a safe building, such as in the annual service charge. And it is right that reasonable limits are placed on these charges and that leaseholders are protected from large-scale remediation costs. The Association of British Insurers have also backed this government stance, as has Dame Judith Hackett, the government's independent advisor on building safety. In conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the replacement of unsafe cladding and other remedial works is an issue that must be taken seriously. The fire safety bill alone cannot remedy this. Hence, why these well-intentioned amendments would not be appropriate, the wider approach must be considered and indeed welcomed. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.